10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Your go
4,
for APU shutdown on time.
2, 1, liftoff.
Go and throttle up.
This is Escape Pod, part of the Outbreak Podcasting Network. Visit our website at outbreakpodcast.com. And now here's your hosts, Tony Brown and David Anthony.
Mike and Dave work for Autonomous FX, and they're the ones responsible for designing and building most of the stuff you see in front of us. Mick, as a lot of you know, has been our basically demon in residence.
I've had the tremendous pleasure of being a significant portion of the evil on Scanigans.
Every season he plays multiple demons, and this season is no exception. So I'm going to open the floor off to you guys. You guys can start talking about it. You guys have questions? Okay.
Cool. Wonderful. Well, we're back again for season 3. As you've seen, by the scene from last season, we left off in a significantly dark timeline for Stan and Evie as they basically just found themselves in hell. So wonderful cliffhanger to end on there. And as Ed mentioned, the last 2 seasons I've played 4 different demons on the show that have allowed me to live and die and get to come back in some new amazing creature makeup that these guys and their crew of Autonomous effects have been able to make for me. And extremely excited this season to have a couple of these guys. I get to fit in that suit over here playing a shriveled corpse you might have seen off of Dana's post recently for the premiere of this season. And then this guy here, who I'm really excited about, whose name is Horace. And I'm just saying that, if you've seen the show, the last 2 seasons of Stan and Eve fighting these demons have gone moderately well, but for nearly 300 demons, they're working very, very slow at actually ridding the town of the curse. So Horace here is kind of them upping their game and trying to find something a bit more powerful to combat Constable Eccles with. So we'll be seeing quite a lot of him in season 3, and as you can see, the guys in the shop built something that looks almost like an epic cover of a Dio album from the late 70s.
That was the whole idea.
It's about as metal as you can possibly think, which is delightful.
Now look at that.
Just a pause.
Technology.
Everyone knows not to touch. Just makes the pictures better. Don't touch.
We can all touch. I've been touching this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And it's been touching me a lot. We've all been touching.
Don't make it weird, man.
Oh, I'll make it good. That's why I'm here. If I wasn't making stuff weird here, then I really wouldn't survive on this. We literally have a small kaiju village outside that Dave Keckner is fighting a monster creature on, which makes my heart sing. As a huge nerd for this kind of stuff, this is like a dream show. This is summer camp. Like this isn't the only far from like the only creature stuff I do during the year, but without a doubt the most fun.
Which demon have you enjoyed playing the most and why?
Last season the stuff we did with Ida Putnam was beyond awesome. Getting to do that epic battle with Stan at the finale, getting to rip off Leon's head, which is probably my favorite horror scene I've ever had the pleasure of doing, just because they made a copy of Nate that looked so realistic that through the extra layer of fog in the lenses, I could barely tell the difference between this being a dummy and me literally just ripping
It
off my
actually freaked us out when we shot it.
I looked over at Nate, and Nate had his hands in his face as he's watching himself get his own decapitation on screen. And
That was a pretty tremendous head rip. I remember when we did it, the body fell forward and it was still jetting blood, and it went all over the cameraman and his shoes and his pants, and he was like, he was kind of horrified.
there was definitely a splash, so we can put that down.
Yeah.
You guys filled it with all kinds of great stringy bits in the neck and everything. It had an almost thing-like, pulling apart of just sinewy, nonsense. But yeah, Ida I had a great time with last season, but this season I've got 6 episodes. Horace is the first character that I play who isn't going to be a one-shot character. He's kind of like a monster of the week. He actually plays a significant portion, a significant part in this season. So I'm having a lot of fun with him and have some ideas. We're going to be shooting most of this stuff in the next 2 weeks. So I'm really excited to dive into his head and take him for a spin.
So there's always been a great mix of digital and practical effects. I know Dana's a huge fan of like creature features, and you guys are always paying tribute to that kind of stuff. So can we expect more of that?
85-90% practical.
Nice.
The digital comes in when it's impossible to do practically, or like last year we had a wraith that flies in the sky, and we couldn't really afford to build a monster that flies in the sky, so some of that was digital or composited. But we did still have a full-size puppet. Not controlled.
And that's the charm of this show, and I think why it works so well on a channel like IFC is that the show is created by somebody who's not a horror fan but a monster fan. I think that's really what sets this apart, this show apart from anything else, is that oftentimes for shows like this, the monsters are just treated as a plot device to move like scary jump scares across the board. And in this show, because Dana has such a massive love for this stuff that we're making, he has a very specific idea in his head, like, I love this movie, I want to do some sort of spin on this thing or this thing. We have some great tributes to some like classic horror stuff this season. Keeping it practical and keeping the stuff on set is what gives this show its charm, and also what makes it so fun. For a digital atmosphere, you're having to, it's not as fun to act against somebody who's in a green screen suit or is going to later turn into something very cool. Versus, last season, John and I being able to fight and do this, this crazy sequence of him fighting this evil demon witch, in which what you see is what you get. What we were doing on set looked exactly like Stan fighting this evil witch. So very easy to kind of build an episode around that and make sure that we're giving the fans something very cool to be able to check out. But the methods these guys are using are a lot of very old school sort of practical effects tricks, and there's something about this show that forces you guys to be very creative with what you're doing as well. So
absolutely.
Part of that, when Dana and the gang at IFC creatively try to come up with the entire season, the first thing that they have to attack is what are the monsters? Yeah. Because the guys need to know way in advance. I mean, we just started prepping this show to shoot it 5 weeks ago. 4 weeks before we start prepping the show. These guys are working 6 months before that to get the conceptual drawings done, to get the ideas done, and then to actually pull it off. Because a lot of times when Dana writes something and send it to them, they're like, okay, we've never done this, we're starting from scratch. A lot of the times it's, oh, we've done that, we know how to do it, it's a body cast, it's this, it's that. Yeah. Other times it's, this is new, how are we going to do it? So they have to put their heads together and conceptualize it, come up with plans, and then concept drawings, and the people at IFC and Dana have to approve it, and it's a whole process.
I think this season the Nubbins was the one that he gave us the most.
I still don't know how we're going to do it.
Yeah. We're figuring it out, don't worry.
And I, as the producer since day one, have been saying, how are we going to do the numbers? How are we going to do the numbers? I don't know how, because it's written so brilliantly and it's so funny on the page. And then when I saw the first photograph of Marty, I couldn't stop laughing.
And once you see, when you see the rest of the gang as well, it's, when I first read this in the script, I'm imagining the typical horror route you would go. They're going to be like these wooden, sort of creepy marionette type puppets. The fact that they look like something out of like a 70s Sid and Marty Krofft show is a testament to who makes this stuff.
And Marty's the mellow one too. There's one jive turkey that looks like a 70s pimp. That's a turkey. There's Peace Bear that looks a little like Richard Simmons, and he's kind of in a rainbow outfit. And then there's Convoy Kathy, and she's kind of a trucker. And then there's Groovy Gordy, who's like a spaced out sort of hippie guy with dreadlocks and kind of like Tommy Chong. And they're all just kind of funny characters. But when they get possessed, during the meeting, Dana's, we were like, in the script it said they have fangs and horns and stuff like that. And then during the meeting that we had with Dana, we said, well, what if we just gave them human teeth and eyes? And he was like, oh my God, that's pretty awesome.
Well, this is a show that prides itself on its blood and goo. So despite them being felt puppets, there's still going to be a significant portion of gross.
Yeah, so I see that his arm's been ripped off already, and when they get killed, they bleed. So they're very skinny and messy. His ear's torn off, so you can see his ear gets torn off, his pants are falling down right now. Oh, he's a mess. Oh, yeah.
So at one point, Marty has to crawl away from danger or maybe toward danger.
Actually, they just came from the house, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler without giving you a spoiler. Marty decides that he's going to attack, so he climbs up the side of the house and Stan throws him out the window. Or Denise, right? One of them throws him out the window.
Which I think, if any of you are fans of the Muppet movies, I think my favorite thing to see is a Muppet just get tossed. And just go ragdoll and just go flying. That's just the best visuals.
Yeah, he gets his ear torn off, he gets his arm sawed off, all kinds of things happen to this poor guy. Spoiler alert.
But you know, the writers being fans of this material make it a much easier show to work on because they know exactly what they want. The first episodes, I'm trying to figure out what to do with this, this shriveled corpse because there's been so many different types of characters like that and different directions you can go in. I had one idea, and David just runs up for a scene. He's like, so you're a classic mummy? And I'm like, which mummy? Karloff or Cheney Jr.? He's like, Cheney Jr. That's all I needed. Like, right off the bat. It's like, I just, all I could think of, I knew exactly what he wanted from that because that's what he was thinking of when he wrote it. He wanted his Lon Chaney Jr. like classic mummy type character, which for that meant very over-the-top handy acting, which is a lot more fun to do.
Yeah, he's told us that, he's like, when I have all these meetings with everybody, I think you guys are the only ones that get my references.
The shorthand.
I certainly don't.
What is this, what's this supposed to look like? Oh, that looks like Carnival of Souls. Okay. Like, we automatically know what that looks like.
Well, yeah, I mean, for a lot of people will go for the standards, like, oh, I want a Jason Voorhees or I want Freddy Krueger. For him, he's like, do you remember in the 3rd season of Kolchak the Night Stalker? And that's Dana's way of thinking, is that's, he made this show growing up and loving this type of material and wanting to do, kind of write a comedic horror love letter to that genre. And I've seen episodes this season, some of them coming up for season 3, that since season 1, I knew eventually this is going to be done. Eventually we'll get around to like a satire on this show or this film and make our way around to that. I know there's dozens of other ideas he has in the back of his head to hopefully do one day with this production.
What can you tell us about your melted friend up there? Is that
the X-Files?
Yeah,
We're doing, one of the episodes is an homage to the X-Files. And I'm not going to tell you how they die, but
I will tell you that
This is the good result.
this is an example of just how much trouble Stan and Eve are going to find themselves in this season. Because whatever caused this did it with very, very little effort. And that's just like a small tease of what they have to deal with. So, we had a lot of characters in the last seasons who, were somewhat brutal, but anything that's able to just melt a person into like just a big pile of gooey, jello is, they have to find a way around that.
it's a quick, fun little practical effect too. You build something like that as a big model, and then when you're ready to shoot it, you throw it on the floor, cover it in goo, and you go. That's part of the thing that's challenging about this show is we move so fast. We shoot the whole thing in what, 4.5 weeks?
20. Yeah, we shoot the entire season in 24 days.
Yeah. So and we build everything, even though we know about things ahead of time. We don't actually start the big main shop build at Autonomous until about 6 weeks before delivery. So all this stuff was basically built in 6 weeks. We thought about it. We conceptually came up with some designs and ideas and stuff. But to make a bunch of puppets, hire a guy that's worked at the Hensons and bring him into the shop for 4 weeks and just say, "This is what you design." But it's a fun thing to be involved in. And every year we send out Dave Snyder, and he comes and he's the set guy that does all the makeup for the show. And then I'm lucky enough to get to come out at least once or twice, as much as Ed will allow. and get to play with some of the stuff.
I feel like you've seen enough of my actual face for months that it's not why I'm on the show.
You know, you should have done the whole interview like that.
That's a lot better.
That would have been better.
Obviously, there's a lot more to this than just this. He's not actually in a suit with painted nails. So it's slightly more intimidating.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We put a little fluctuation on the eyes so it can get really bright or really dim or whatever. Sometimes we have the eyes off just because it looks better in the dark when you don't get to see any of it. And occasionally they want it to roar or something like that, so we just throw in it's just an easy little cable mech on a little handle.
And,
I like to keep things fast and practical.
Yeah, they've kept a lot of the stuff practical this season. There are some shots that some productions would do digitally, but they tried to keep in a classic sort of camera move this season. So the first episode has one shot that would otherwise be done twice with a lot of editing and digital effects. But we did it all in camera. It's just one long shot with John and one of the creatures. And
it's hard for me to puppeteer your mouth when I don't know what you're going to say.
This is all scripted, right? Did you not? Yeah. This is all working fine. This one is obviously a lot quicker and easier to put together than one of the 3-4 hour makeup jobs we do with the trailer.
All right, ready?
Also, I want to say too, as a testament to the Mick and the guys at Autonomous and Dana, what's interesting to me and fascinating to me, because I didn't grow up a horror fan, even though if you look at my resume, it's House on to all these horror movies, but I didn't grow up loving horror. They all work together as such a team, because when Mick is a demon, he actually takes on the physicality of that demon, the way he moves, the way he communicates with the actors as the character. So whether he's playing Stella Stannis or Horace, you wouldn't know that it's the same actor. You wouldn't even think it's anywhere close to the same actor because the sizes are so different, the movements are so different. So all that is worked out as part of the process with the guys at Autonomous and Mick. And it's a testament to how talented, how versatile he is that he can play so many different guys. Because he's playing a character that's 7 feet tall and also one that's 5'6". And the physicality is completely different between an old woman and basically the devil.
And I'm so grateful for work that I get to do with Autonomous even before I get here. We go in for fittings to make sure that all the movement is flowing and working properly. Once I'm here, we discuss what we can do in the scene and what we can do to make the movement and the character flow even better. And that's the beautiful challenge of this every time, is that it doesn't feel like I'm having to pull from the same bag of tricks every time. It's like, this is the way a witch moves, or this is the way something evil moves, and just doing the same sort of generic scary tricks. I have the opportunity to pick the script apart and be like, okay, what can I do this time that I didn't get to do last year? And that's what makes this so much fun to continuously be able to come back to. It's a completely different show for me every time. By the end of this season, I will have done 10 episodes of the show. This guy's the only one that I've played multiple times. That's 8 different characters that I've gotten to take apart and try something completely new for. And that's such a wonderful opportunity, because it's different from going from a different project, because I get to do something different with the same people. I get to do something different with the same crew. I get to act the same characters and develop a different type of, character-to-character relationship with somebody who I'm sharing a scene with. Whether it's having a scene with John or Janet as Evie or Denise or Leon. It's a completely different deal every time I get to wear one of these makeups and transform. And a lot of the time, I'll have somewhat of an idea reading the script as to where I'm going to go with it. But these guys add so much personality and so much of what the character is already in the makeup. It's already sculpted, and they already have these ideas of what this character is going to be. That once I'm fully in it, once I'm fully glued in, a lot of ideas I have will go away and be replaced by new ones where I'll I'll make an expression and realize it works way better this way, and this will adjust everything else. This character looks much better having an evil sort of smiling grin on their face than a frowning grimace. That not only changes the expression I make in makeup, but how I'm carrying myself, how I'm walking, the whole character changes dramatically. Ida Putnam last season, the teeth that you guys made for her, had the coolest, most evil, horrific smile I've ever seen on a character that I've done. So I'm like, okay, now she's way more fun. Now I can have her sort of revel in the carnage she's creating just to get more out of this appearance and go more in that direction than a character that's just kind of brooding and dark. So that's what made that character so much fun, was a lot of the design was already sculpted into the makeup before I even put it on.
I just want to add something also to what Mick just said, also that the guy at Autonomous also just don't do monsters. I mean, the special effects makeup for our show covers a lot of different things. I mean, I wish you guys could have been here yesterday, because what they did with the character we just called Old Asian Shopkeeper was amazing. Was amazing. We have this young guy, 22-year-old, who looks like a 70-year-old ancient kung fu master.
Yeah, this is
And
the
then
first
later he plays. Sorry?
This is the first year on the show that we got to do two realistic makeups.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with creatures.
And
or
I
monsters.
promise you, when you see the show, you will never, ever in a million years think that it's the same actor playing both of the Asian shopkeepers. Because it was just, I mean, I saw the guy and it's like, that's not the guy we cast. I was part of the casting. That wasn't the guy we cast. And then I was just blown away.
And that's the advantage of doing something practically versus digital as well. I mentioned before that it works really well for the other actors on set to see something that's real in front of them versus just having to imagine what it's going to look in the finished product. But for me, to be able to look in the mirror, see myself, and be able to play around as these characters is a gift for me as an actor to have that new physical body to play with and literally just become someone completely different. I've done a lot of things on stage before where I played sort of eccentric human or
Shocking.
Yeah, something like that. So a different personality and all that. But it's nothing compared to seeing yourself transform in front of the mirror into something that isn't even human anymore. And all the new discoveries that you make as an actor with a character like that.
I was going to ask, what is your frame of reference as you do outside of the design of the costumes? What is your frame of reference for coming up with these variants?
I had a funny introduction into performing. It wasn't the first thing I did in entertainment. I, for years, was a stop motion animator. So I had studied motion and animation before I got into this, and that was a lot involved in puppetry and moving puppets and watching your performance and transferring it to the characters you animated. And that was years of animating characters that were across every spectrum of age, gender, species. And I didn't realize until later how much I picked up on that. So when I actually decided that I liked animation a lot, but it wasn't the career field I wanted to dedicate myself to, and went back to acting school, the exercises that came quickest for me were all the character ones, building a character from the bottom of your feet up, because it's more or less what I had been doing for years as an animator. So working within that realm and then coming over to this world and playing things that were outside of myself, that weren't just a slightly different version of me in a different situation, that gave me a great frame of reference to playing characters like this. And I love working on a blank slate. It's not nearly as interesting for me to just play another dude showing up to set in a different kind of t-shirt or whatever and being in a different situation and find myself in normal life. It's way more exciting for me to imagine the last 24 hours of what this character was doing, which is the thing I try to do for everybody is not just imagine what they're doing in the scene, but what world they come from and where this character has been beforehand. And it looks so cool that your storytelling mind just goes off in different ways of, okay, what is this character? Where do they come from? What do they do off of the page? and be able to play around for that. So when you step into the scene, it's a more fully realized character than just a scare that's popping up to make the scene a horror scene.
Excuse me, I gotta pull Dave. Mike, you guys gotta go to lunch because we gotta be kept early.
Oh, boy.
All right. Any last questions for Mike or Dave? They'll be back afterwards, but they gotta go work. They gotta go eat and work.
No questions?
What have you enjoyed the most about like your creations for this season versus the previous two? Like anything that you got to do that you hadn't gotten to do yet?
We have one that you'll see today that's really fun.
In the kaiju?
Yeah. That's going to be a crowd-pleasing favorite.
Yes.
We knew from the beginning of reading that script it was going to be hilarious. And then we just kept heading towards hilarious as we built it. And hopefully we achieved that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was so pleased that this was the day that the press day was going to be held, because I was going to be on set anyway just to watch this. I'm not shooting today, but there was no way that I was going to miss what's happening.
And the stuff we shot the last couple of days with Keckner as the caterpillar.
Yeah,
In the bedroom, the caterpillar. It's wait till you see it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Our special effects team did an amazing job cocooning a house.
Yeah.
So our challenge today is to keep them put together in this and hope that it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Radar looks good, not wood.
Cool.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks, everybody.
This is the standard effects pose.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. How are you guys?
Oh, of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I have to say, the fact that we have Dave Keckner downstairs, and also a comedian named Eddie Pepitone playing the gorilla that he's going to be fighting a bit later. Dana and Rob Cohen, our director, has been amazing the last 2 seasons working with. They both know exactly what they want, but they're also extremely easy to work with, and you actually have your own ideas to bring to the board. They've been involved in comedy writing for decades. Together, they worked together in the early '90s on Ben Stiller's show and several other projects. So not only do they bring that intensive line of experience of comedy writing to the table, but they also bring a lot of friends with them. And that's why we've had so many amazing guest stars be able to come on the show. Because a lot of the time it's a friend of Dana's or Rob's, but getting them is literally just a phone call away. Like, hey, I'm doing this fun monster show. You want to come join us this season? And I am extremely honored for some of the people who I ended up on the same call sheet as this season. I mean, I read the characters, I knew what characters were coming up. When I saw who was playing them and who I'm going to get to work with next week, who I'm absolutely thrilled with because I'm a huge fan of theirs, it takes the comedy to another level. Because for some of them, this is a genre that they've never worked in. So to see these comedians be able to step into an environment that's more horror-related is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. So
I can't give you names, but it's amazing to me how many well-known, big-name comedians have approached us about coming on the show because they're fans of the show. They like the combination of the horror and the comedy. They see what people have done on the show, and they've gone back to Los Angeles, New York, and told people what a great time they had. I mean, the one thing we do have on the show is a lot of fun. I mean, most television shows are really hard. I mean, every television show is hard, even ours. But the difference with ours is we actually have a blast doing it. I mean, most of our crew has been with us all 3 seasons, and the Tom's guys and our special effects and stunt guys do an amazing job. And we try very hard to make sure that all the people that are here enjoy the work, but we also try to make sure that Dana's vision gets accomplished. And part of Dana's vision is having fun, and that helps. That helps tremendously.
yeah, and it balances it out really well. Because some of this stuff this guy's very easy to wear, that guy's hell. The corpse makes me feel like what he looks like.
Stella was your heart too, wasn't it?
Stella was.
Oh, wait, who's season 1?
Season 1 was Stella and the Baphomet. The Baphomet was interesting just because it was so hot outside. You could literally see the sweat boiling underneath the prosthetics as I was walking around. That's the most difficult one I've worn so far because he's so insulated. It's one of those like full suits out in like 90 degree heat and 100% humidity. But there's still no place I'd rather be wearing that because what I get to do in that while we're shooting, I realize we have that in the can and that shot's done. I'm overjoyed because of how funny and you know how funny that scene's going to be, and I can't wait to see it all completely put together. So it's a lot of pain, but the pain will be gone the next day. So you know this stuff will be on TV. So for the few years left that the world still exists.
Can you walk us through what a day is like shooting in Wisconsin?
Well, basically, this one is a combination of a suit and a makeup.
So if we had a night call, and your set call was 10, what time would you start?
I would start probably at 6 a.m. And that is actually less time than it's usually allotted, because a lot of it is a suit that I'm working to. We usually put aside anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to get a makeup done. And you go into a very zen-like state when you're getting something like that done. It doesn't feel like that because you're working with the makeup artist as they're going, they're going at it. But I've done some time lapses that kind of give you the scope of how long it takes to put one of these together. For a big makeup, I usually have 2 artists working on me at the same time, if not more. For this guy, it's the makeup itself. The eyes are gone on it. You can probably see a photo that Dana posted not too long ago, but he has no eyes, so I don't have to worry about contact lenses or anything in that area. And then the suit is very tight. It takes a little bit of work to get me fully in that mummified. And one of the things you probably can't see on the table is that there's no fly on this. So as far as going to the restroom or anything like that, there'll be none of that until the very end.
And that's especially hard for us because Mick will tell you that every member on the crew is looking out for him. So people are constantly saying, "Are you okay? You need water? Come into the shade." People are. I mean, the first season I was constantly coming up to Mick, because he was dressed in this. It was 90+ degrees out, and the humidity was terrible, and he's head to toe in the suit. And I remember coming up to him several times, like, "You need water? What do you need? I'll get you a straw." Because sometimes you can't eat or drink out of him. There's no face. There's no mouth.
It's really hard to eat when you have no human features. I have, Ed is always looking out for me, the artists always are. Janet is continuously concerned with making sure that I'm okay all the time.
Right.
Even at the point of the first season where she was tied to a stake and I was the one with a torch. And she's checking on me to make sure I'm okay. And I'm like, "Janet, you are the one who's in danger of being on fire right now. I'm fine. If something bad happens to me, you're getting engulfed in flames." So, but she's still at the same time like unbelievable amounts of concern to make sure that I'm like okay in all this. But the truth is that it's a bit of a stunt in and of itself to wear a lot of this, and it's for a lot of people, even stunt performers.
Yeah, a lot of actors can't do it. Their sense of claustrophobia or their sense of being enclosed, even though it's makeup out in the open, they can't do it. They can't have stuff put on their face. They can't have stuff. They can't be in any way, shape, or form mummified. We've had that happen on the show where we had to change something because an actor couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm not the first diet platinum. Which I'm sure the other one was lovely, but apparently it's not so good with the working of prosthetic around the eyeballs and all that. Which, again,
it's not something you think. I mean, as a producer, I don't think about that until it actually happens. And a lot of times we cast people, and unfortunately, they say, "I can do it." I mean, something as simple as, "Can you ride a bike?" It's like, yeah. Then you get the set. It's like, "You've never been on a bike before." And it's the same thing with special effects makers. They say, "Are you okay sitting in a chair for 3 hours while they change you?" It's like, yeah. I mean, they get on the day and they have a panic attack, a literal panic attack. And it's a testament to people that can do it and are comfortable and love doing it, because it is scary to some people.
And it is about trust with your crew as well. Like I trust my makeup artist 100%. You know, Dave messed with me when I got out of the shop because I told him how excited I was for season 3. Sent me saying I wish I could be there, and I basically texted him back saying I will find who hired you and destroy them, because there's no way that I can do this without you being there, because he's had my back the last 2 seasons, and I trust him to be able to pull off each one of these new characters for me. Bob Fisher, our stunt I'm sometimes asked to do things on the show that a lot of stunt guys spend years training for, and I'll have about 30 minutes to figure that out. So I have an immense amount of respect for Bob and what he does, because I trust his experience. I trust, you know, that as long as I'm in his hands, I do what he says, I'm safe doing it. And he always has some very good ideas on not only ways to keep me safe, but ways to make the scene look really cool. Which hopefully
Bob Fisher, by the way, also doubles as Stan. So a lot of the stuff you've seen for the first 2 seasons of Stan doing this crazy stuff is actually Bob. And in fact, season 1, I think almost probably 70% of John's action stuff was Bob.
Yeah, and a lot of the item fighting, things like that, things in which there's more of a risk, because we can't quite, if John gets hurt, we can't prop him on the scene, and just hope for the best. For me, there'll be a high casts and stuff like that, and this might break myself out. I'll heal up eventually.
It's like a furry run a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely thin, but I drink my milk, so it's very strong. I've got a very strong bone, despite the fact that I have 0% body fat to be padded anywhere.
Yeah, in case you guys haven't figured, I'm a huge fan of Mick's. As a producer, one of the reasons I'm a huge fan of his is that he loves doing his own stunts whenever possible. Because on most shows, I'd have to hire a whole second person to then have a whole second makeup done and just to do the stunt. And most of the time, Mick just does it himself.
Because it's the fun stuff.
Right, I know.
I mean, when that's the thing for the people, the things that I'm asked about most, whether or not I'm comfortable doing this in the scene. It's always the scenes I'm most excited about doing. If it's a wild stunt, if it's a fight scene, it's me flying out a window or something. That's the stuff where I cannot wait to get rigged up in this and be pulled out a fake window, or have I'm having a chair broken over me next week, and I haven't had a chair broken over me, and I can't wait to do it. And it's stuff like that excites me about it, because it's a new experience, and it's also it's a very different thing to set up for and do on set. So for me, oftentimes the most dangerous stunt things are the days I'm looking most forward to. And again, as long as I can walk into set the next day and do whatever I'm doing, rip myself a hot bath and soak overnight, I'll be fine.
How did you prepare for the physicality of your characters?
I work a lot beforehand, depending on if it's something that really changes me quite a bit. We went back and forth. Initially, Horace was going to be on stilts, and then we changed to these very tall, Kisk type boots. We have a 7-foot sole in them, which raises me quite, pretty high. And we're very easy to move in, but I'll show up to set hours beforehand, put on those boots, and then just walk around and just figure out okay, what can I do in these? They got a bit concerned at first over some of the stuff I was doing, thinking it would be difficult. And I'm like, in these boots I can get on the tips of my toes. I can walk around very easily in these. I can jump in these. I can I can do a lot more in this suit than I would think. Same thing, we got in the corpse suit early on to see what poses looked best in this, what was restricting me, just so once I got on set, I had a clear idea of how to move, because that was going to be the best look for camera. So there's a little bit of work that I like to do beforehand. If it's a makeup, you'll see me in the mirror. I'll be making faces in the mirror and taking different photos of myself. A lot of monster selfies. Hundreds of monster selfies, just to get a proper expression on my face and figure out, okay, this is what looks best for the character.
And tying into that, one of the things we do when we're casting actors that are going to possibly play a demon or a demon in transition is we look for the physicality. If you guys remember season 1, when we had a spider episode where Evie got ended up in the cobweb, that actor was hired not just because he was a good actor, but because of his movement. He was able to create this creepy movement that just, won us all over because it was almost like he was a demon as himself. He was able to move in that. So once we put the makeup on him, it was amazing.
Who, by the way, that actor's name is a friend of mine named Mark Steger, who's best known as playing the Demogorgon on Stranger Things. So if you're wondering what the Demogorgon looks like outside of makeup, you'll see him in that episode. Looking like just Mark, who's a dance choreographer outside of it. He actually does more choreography than he does acting because he's so in touch with physicality. That's where he got his starts. So it's a very intimate community of people who play these monsters. We pretty much all know each other. In LA, when there's a commercial call or something, we're all together. We all
I actually think we would say that for the whole film and TV business. Most people don't realize what a small business it actually is. He talks about a small community in the special effects world. Among producers, there's probably 500 people that do what I do, and we all know each other, and we all talk on a regular basis. Special effects guys all know each other, they all talk. Stunt guys, it's a very small community within a very small community. And it's shocking, the longer you stay in the business, the more you realize what a small industry it actually is. There's probably isn't a crew I can't walk onto in Atlanta or Los Angeles where I haven't worked with somebody on that crew. It's really not huge, as big a business as most people think. It's actually pretty surprising.
So with all the stunts and things going on, what's been the most memorable moment for both of you?
I think all the times I almost killed Janet in season 1. or just came close to it. The most memorable night, I think, was the big climactic scene at the end of the first episode where I'm playing Stella Scatus. Because at that point, not only am I walking around in the field with this massive torch that's lit on fire, but right after that, right before, after I almost burned Janet at the stake, I then just about drowned her in vomit. And Janet is basically the human equivalent of sunshine. So you'll almost drown her, and then she'll check on you to make sure you're well fed and you're comfortable. But I had one of those tubes running on the side of my mouth, so it's like one of those profile shots, and it's done very Evil Dead style. And we did the whole black goo vomit sort of thing. And I could barely see her because the contact lenses not at all see her. Some of the contact lenses I wear take away some of the vision. These ones were completely opaque, so I just did the entire episode blind. So I don't know quite where to aim, and I'm hoping that I don't aim somewhere terrible when I'm on top of Janet about to throw up on her. But of course it's right in the face, and I've just got this stream of horrible black goo that I'm just continuously vomiting, and I'm thinking, this seems a lot longer than 8 seconds. I'm wondering should I pull away or should I keep just letting this horrible stuff cover her or what have you? And I just wanted to apologize profusely, even though it was the scene of just, all the hell I put her through that night. But by the end of it, I'm walking out, I had this perfectly clean, makeup and everything. By the end of it, the creature's hair is all over the place. I'm covered in, black gum, half the stuff is pulling off. And look at myself in the mirror and just think, this has been a very, very good night.
And for me, there's 2 of them, actually. Season 1, we really didn't know if we could do this show. Pete back there from IFC entrusted me with this show, and they gave me these scripts, and the first one was so huge that I said, I don't know how you do it, because the first shooting day was 30 hours, the second shooting day was 24 hours, and the third shooting day was 26 hours. That's how big the script was.
I gave you $12.
And our budget, our schedule was we do this in 3 days. So it was basically 8 days of work that we were trying to squeeze in 3 days. And anyway, we figured out how to get that script down. They wrote the other 7 scripts. And in the finale, we have a car flipping over. And everybody said, you can't afford to flip a car. And I said, we're going to flip a damn car.
Also done by Bob.
Yeah, Bob
Fisher.
And so we worked our butts off to save money, and we pulled off the car flip, and it was amazing. It looked great. And the episode was amazing, and it was just a situation where I was so proud of the team we put together that was able to do all the things we need to do in the season to create a great show at a very low budget that everybody loved, and we were able to pull off a stunt that a lot of much bigger shows can't do. And that was pretty awesome. The second one was strictly from a story point of view. The end of season 2 just gutted me when the Stan character finally accepts the death of his wife. That was just, to me, that night was just amazing.
And let me tell you something else about that night that was amazing. That was a very late night of shooting, and we got a forecast that it might rain, and it kept holding off. It kept holding off, and John knew it was coming soon, so he placed himself away from the roof, just in the right place, so that the rain didn't start until he accepts the death of his wife. And I'm laying there dead as after it happens, and I'm looking over at John, right where like the roof ends, so the water starts coming through, and he's standing there in this extremely emotional moment on this comedic horror show, right as natural rain starts pouring down. And that was just,
exactly.
I got goosebumps just laying there watching that, because the timing could not have possibly been perfect.
And John was so amazing in that scene as well.
Yeah, I mean, John has made me cry so many times. Not on the show, thankfully. not on set. But going up watching him in shows like Scrubs, like I will have friends mess with me when they know what know that I'm working with John by just like sending me the quote, "You know why you're here." Which, if anybody watches Scrubs, it's from like the most soul-crushing moments of Dr. Cox, realizing that Brendan Fraser died. So, working with him on this and seeing him stretch this character, it's particularly this season as he's making this very large arc of Stan. You're finding a lot of different places the character is going in, straddling the line between comedy and horror, but also finding these very dramatic character moments that are really the heart of the show and are what make you care about the characters, what happens to them, and makes the show funny because you know them so well. You get to a point with these characters and seeing them enough that the jokes take a lot less,
right,
because you know them so well that even the most subtle things coming from any of the main cast mean a whole lot more because you've spent this time with them and you've seen these characters grow.
You mentioned too that you have Rob back as a director, so is he directing all of season 3 as well?
Oh, yes. So all 8 episodes.
Amazing.
Yeah. We approach this show, the only way we can do the show is by almost shooting it as a feature. We're fortunate that IFC gives us time up front to write all the scripts. So even though we didn't start prepping the show until the middle of April, Dana has been writing since January because IFC gave him the go-ahead. They've been working on stories. The monster guys have been working. But we basically have all the script before we start prepping. So we're able to prep all 8 episodes at once. We do it like a feature. We shoot it like a feature. Most days we shoot multiple parts of different episodes. So if you look at a call sheet, we may be doing episode 301, 306, and 307 on the same day, different parts. It's challenging for our prop people, for our set dressing people, especially for our wardrobe people. But it's the only way we can afford to do it based on financial model. And we're able to pull it off. And I'm damn proud of the show that we put out. Because unless you know the finances of the show, you'd never know by watching it. Because the production value is much higher than a show that costs as little as this does. And that's again, a testament to Dana, a testament to the entire crew, and specifically IFC for giving us the time, ahead of time, to write the scripts and giving us the opportunity to prep it properly.
I'm almost certain that they're cloning Rob Cohen, and there's just an entire lab full of Cohen clones, which is great because the world's better off for it. But I'll see so many shows that have his name on it. He's been on over the years with some amazing comedians like Mark Maron's show or Maria Bamford's Lady Dynamite, and he's done some amazing comedies the last few years. And it's great to have him on a show like this with that experience because he just brings so many different ideas to the board and really knows how to elevate a scene.
And creatively too, there's more like consistency.
Well, he and Dana share the same brain.
Yeah.
I mean that I can't say literally because they don't actually share the same brain, but as close to literal as possible.
Well,
They finish each other's sentences, they have the same, I mean, they've been friends for a really long time.
Yeah, it's well over 20 years of them creatively working together, collaborating. I had a great time during the Leon death scene from last season, because every time there's a monster scene in particular, Dana will be co-directing. Because he's such a monster fan, he wants to be there co-directing this scene. But I also had like ideas I wanted to ask them about what to do with Leon's head. Because originally I was just going to rip it off and drop it on the ground, but I looked at it and thought, this looks amazing, we have to show this off more. I'm like, can I go up to the car with the head and just sort of like raise it up and show it to Janet? And they were all for it. So I got to do that in the scene to really show off how amazingly beautiful a decapitated mate head that was. But that was, talking with them, they knew what I was going for. They had their idea for the scene. They let me add on to it, and that's now like my favorite scene I've ever done. Is how that came together. It's the one that I love showing off to people who haven't seen the show yet. It's like, watch this, don't just start out there.
All right, we're going to end our session now with Mick. You're welcome to come on up and take pictures and look at these and touch them and do what you need to, and the cast will be here in a little bit and we'll continue, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Escape Pod. If you enjoyed it, please like the episode and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you would like to be a part of future podcasts, then email us at outbreakpodcast@gmail.com. And be sure to visit our website, outbreakpodcast.com, for more episodes, show notes, photos, and other podcasts on the Outbreak Podcasting Network. That's outbreakpodcast.com.